when the game first launched, I came out with the DOOMFIST Onslaughter Amon build, and today we have an updated version of this build. Now that I've learned a lot more about how the game works, and with Amon getting some buffs, I wanted to take a look at all of his trees and try and come up with a build. His green tree, there's a build that I have potential for, but there's bugged skills. Raging Inferno as well as Blackout in the blue tree are both bugged right now. The devs are aware of it. They're going to be fixing it. So we'll have builds for those when they get fixed. But for now, we have a DOOMFIST Amon Onslaughter build, updated version. This one, you can use any capstone with it. You can use any augment with it. I've tested all of them, and I'm going to give you guys what I think is the best combo for not only dealing the most amount of damage to single targets, but the most amount of ability spam as well. So without further ado, let's just dive right into it. We're starting in the red tree, and we're staying on the red tree. All of our skill points are going into the red tree. So we're going to start at the top here with 2 points into Impetus. Kill skill, Amon gains increased shield regeneration rate and movement speed for a duration. Then we're going to put 5 points into What Burns Within. This is going to boost our melee damage because we deal incendiary melee damage initially. I'll get more on that later. We're going to put 1 point into Gut Punch. I found that it's just worth it to have the 1 point because of how much we are dealing melee damage with not only our fists, but we're also utilizing Slippy in this. So that one, I think it double dips with Gut Punch because it's an ordnance, but it also deals melee damage. So I think it does double dip there, and that will give us the highest chance to apply weakness specifically to bosses. Then we're going to put 5 points into Titanium Knuckles. We also gain 2 from our class mod. More on that later. This increases our melee and skill damage. Then we're going to put 1 point into Forged in Steel. Amon becomes immune to all damage for a brief duration whenever he activates a Forged skill. This build really takes advantage of this because we are having so much of our Forged skill spam thanks to some skills and the amount of melee that we're doing. You can utilize this on bosses. It's almost, you can do this, activate your Forged skill, become immune, and then by the time it runs out, you can activate it again. It's super nice. Then we're going to put 1 point into the best defense. Amon gains overshield when he deals melee damage. It's 3% of melee damage dealt, and because we're going to be doing so much melee damage, this is going to basically just 1 punch will give us full overshield. Now, moving down into the left branch here, we're going to put 5 points into Berserk, one of Amon's best passives. Whenever Amon activates his Forge skill, he becomes Berserk for a duration, gaining slow immunity and bonus cryo damage with gun and melee damage. The bonus cryo damage is 30%, and it lasts for 15 seconds. Another reason why I wanted to have so much Forge skill spam on this build is because of Berserk. So we're going to have a lot of other ways to keep this up, but we can basically guarantee that this doesn't run out because of how much we are going to be able to spam our action skill. We're also going to be taking the Fellfrost Augment. This is where we can get the most amount of damage for bossing. So press action skill immediately after a rocket punch causes Amon to use a follow-up attack, dealing cryo melee damage in a large area in front of Amon. Non-boss enemies hit below 25% HP are killed. The follow-up damage is 11,000. So this has just been what I found to be the best for the bossing portion of this build because we are able to do our rocket punch and then immediately swing right after. It'll get us the most amount of damage out as fast as possible because of how long it does take to activate the rocket punch. Moving down, we're going to take 3 points in There Is Only Red. Kill skill, whenever Amon kills an enemy while Berserk is active, restore Berserk's duration and increase bonus cryo damage from Berserk. It restores 9 seconds, gives us 60% more bonus damage, and then the maximum bonus damage is 600%. This allows us to just stack even more damage, and this is going to play a big part into why we can deal so much damage to bosses. We're going to put 3 points into Brimming Vigor next. Amon gains increased max health capacity and deals increased melee damage the more full his health. We get 21% more health capacity and 21% more melee damage when our health is full. Because we're going to be basically getting OS on any punch, this is going to be really nice, so we can keep this up as much as possible and almost always have the 21% melee damage buff on top of everything else. And then finally, we're going to put all 3 points into My Touch is Death. Whenever Amon deals melee damage, there's a chance to activate all kill skills. We also get 2 points from our class mod. We'll talk more about the class mod later, but this is a 40% chance with the +2 from our class mod. This basically allows us to have so much on uptime and gets the stacks up really fast with Berserk. So the way I go into boss fights is I throw 2 Slippy grenades, and by the time those hit twice, we're already at ×10 Berserk. Because once you activate that forge skill and then throw 2 Slippies, you'll pretty much always be at or around ×10 Berserk. So we can build that up really fast, and then by the time we're just going to keep punching, we'll be at ×10, dealing the most amount of damage with Berserk. Now we're going to move into the middle tree here, where we're going to put 5 points into the fray. Amon gains increased damage dealt and damage reduction based on his distance from the enemy. This is a melee build because we're going to be up close and personal. Having that 50% damage reduction up close is going to be beautiful for this build. Next, we're going to put 5 points into Harbinger. Kill skill, Amon gains increased melee damage and max shield capacity for a duration. Because this is a kill skill and kill skills have a chance to be activated on melee damage, this can stack up pretty quick as well. So having kill skills in this build is not a bad thing at all. We're also going to be stacking impetus as well because of My Touch's death having such a high chance with our class mod and our points into the passive. And then finally, we're going to move all the way to the far right tree here, where we're going to put 5 points into Dragon's Breath. Whenever Amon activates his ordnance, his next gunshot is converted to incendiary damage, staggering damaged enemies and gaining increased damage dealt. Bosses cannot be staggered and badasses have a chance. We get 100% damage increase, and because we're throwing Slippies so much, we're going to have this up, especially at the start of a fight, so we can always have that next shot dealing incendiary damage. And then finally, this is how we're going to have so much of our forge skill spam. 5 points into Fists of Stone. Whenever Amon deals melee damage, restore a percentage of forge skill cooldown. Melee attacks double this effect. So it's 5% whenever we deal melee damage with, for example, our Slippy. But because that hits so much, we can use our forge skill, throw our 2 Slippies, and our forge skill probably is right back because of how much the Slippy does connect. It's really nice on bosses. And then when we're just punching and meleeing, we're going to get 10% of our forge skill back whenever we melee. So forge skill spam, that's a lot. That's what we want to do. And this leads into our forge skill and our capstone, which is Stormcutter. Molten Slam is now Stormcutter. Press and hold action skill to swing a massive forge sword, launching a forge wave that deals shock melee damage to all enemies it passes through. And then you restore action skill cooldown, duration, and ordnance cooldown for each enemy hit. This is definitely the weakest of the 3 capstones that we can use, but it has the best action skill and forge skill spam because of that. Anytime any enemy that is hit with this, we get 20% action skill cooldown, action skill duration, and ordnance cooldowns. And it has a 65-second cooldown, which is the lowest of the 3 aside from Horcleave. So this is a fantastic capstone to take for this build because of how much we can spam. And when you're in mobbing situations, this is beautiful. You basically just throw 1 wave, hit a bunch of enemies, and your action skill is at full duration as long as that is up. And if it's not up, it's going to be right back to being able to be activated. It's beautiful. We're not using this for the damage. We're using this to activate Berserk, as well as get our action skill duration and cooldown back. All right, now let's look at the gear within this build. Honestly, for weapons, you can use basically anything. I have Hot Slugger because I really like it to just shoot and then melee. And it's really nice for getting second wins if for some reason you do end up going down. But you can use any weapons in this build because we're mainly going to be punching anyways. For the rep kit, triple bypass, this is just nice to have with caffeine. If for some reason your forge skill is not cooled down yet and you need to get your action skill back, you got triple bypass to get there. If you can get this with hard hitter to get 40% melee damage on use, that would be the perfect role for that. Obviously, our ordnance is going to be the Slippy, dealing melee damage on detonation. If you can get it with express to get cooldown duration, that'd be nice, but any of them really work as long as you have the Slippy. All right, let's talk about our class mod here. The Outlaw is easily one of Amon's best class mods, purely for the skills you get. If we take a look at this, we get My Touch's Death and Tritanium Knuckles. My Touch's Death is allowing us to have the kill skills activated on melee, and Titanium Knuckles is just our raw melee and skill damage. So those two skills alone being on this class mod is what makes it, in my opinion, one of, if not Amon's best class mod in the game right now. Because having My Touch's Death getting the chance for kill skills to be activated on melee damage so much higher is beautiful. In a perfect world, if you can get, because we can have 7 points on epic class mods, if you can get 3 points into My Touch's Death and 4 points into Titanium Knuckles, that would be the perfect role for this. And then for the passives, I have 20% damage dealt, 25% damage reduction. Those two are beautiful. If that pistol damage was melee damage, this would be almost a 10 out of 10 perfect roll for me. For the shield, I'm using Watts for Dinner, which basically anytime our energy shield is active, enemies have a 12% chance to drop overshield when hit. And because we're getting overshield from our melees, we're already getting that overshield. And then when that overshield is active, we get 25% bonus shock damage. So it's just nice to have the extra shock damage on top of it for those shields as well to pair with our Stormcutter. Another one that you can use is the Protein Cell. Protein Cell, when you ground slam and start draining your shields over time to get that bonus 40% shock damage, you actually don't lose any shield because of Onslaughter regenerating our shield while it's active. It out heals the Protein Cell shield drain, so you actually don't lose anything. You will have to deal with an annoying sound in the head, but that's okay. The only thing is damage taken passes through the shield, so you are a little bit squishy with this shield, but you do get 40% bonus shock damage. And then finally, the enhancement. Just because I'm running Hot Slugger, I have a Jacob's enhancement on. Now let's look at our firmware. 2 points of Action Fist for melee damage and action skill damage increase, 2 points of Real Big Fist for more melee damage increase, and then finally I have 1 into Googe FC, but that's only because that's what I have on this triple bypass. This one's kind of a flex one. You could put, you know, high caliber for projectile speed, or you could put anything else really. This one's, like I said, it's a flex slot. Now let's go into our specializations. We have 20 points into Survivor to help with survivability and some more damage. So we can get Bullets Are Scared of Me. The Vault Hunter gains increased damage reduction based on the fullness of their shield or health, whichever has max capacity. And then the Best Defense. The Vault Hunter gains increased damage dealt based on the fullness of their shield or health, whichever has the higher capacity. So these two work in tandem to give you damage reduction and damage dealt. And we're going to put 10 points into Sharpshooter just so we can get to Daredevil. And then we're going to put the rest of our points into Runner for movement speed and melee damage because we want to get Groundbreaker. Now, Groundbreaker does infinitely stack damage, but with this build, you kind of want to use it how it's intended, essentially. So yes, you definitely can go around, build up that Groundbreaker and one-punch bosses. But if you use it how it's intended to be used and just throw your slippies, shoot the boss with your gun, and then melee, I'm pretty sure that's how this is intended to work without the infinite stacking. So it's a toss-up whichever way you want to run it. If you want to use the one punch, go for it. You just want to use it how it's intended to be used, go for it. And then, like I said, we have 1 point to Daredevil for now with Caffeine, just to get that action skill back if for whatever reason it runs out. All right, now what I want to do is I actually want to show you guys this in action. So we're going to go to the Rippa Roadbirds here and show you just what this build looks like in action. So what we need to do here is start building up our Groundbreaker as well as our Berserk stacks. As you can see, we have basically, well, when you do that, that doesn't help. But we are getting bonus damage in Shock, Cryo, and Instant when we throw our Ordnance. And we can use our action skill there to get that back a little bit, or our Forge skill. And if you see, we don't have any, so we pop now with Caffeine. And there's our melees. Now we look for some enemies to get our action skill duration back. Throw our Slippy. When we hit that shield there, we basically got all of our action skill back as it ran out. So we could just keep going around and spamming these two skills together, building up our damage, throw our slippies at the bosses, get some damage there. And we can just go and almost one-shot some of these bosses. Use that to get some action skill back, and boom, they're dead. Now that was just a really bad start to this as well, because I butchered a lot of the action skill duration. What'd we get? Little cryo wombo combo. I'll take it. But yeah, this build, if you can keep it up at all times with utilizing your forge skill to get that action skill duration back while it's up, if you can get into that combo and loop of that really well, then you essentially will have as much uptime as you can keep. It does work well in bossing as well. As you saw, when I hit a single target, I still got a decent amount of duration back. So if you can get it to time it really well, as long as you're watching your action skill and forge skill cooldowns, you can have it for the duration of a boss fight. But if you don't, you just pop your triple bypass 3 times and you're good to go again. Or your slippy to utilize the Fists of Stone passive to get our forge skill cooldown back, as well as build up your stacks. And then you also build up some groundbreaker damage, so you can deal more damage with that as well. It's a super fun loop. It's super strong as well. With every melee build, though, there are downsides, as sometimes the tracking does really suck, especially with flying enemies, but it still works. And you're not only doing that, but you're also getting bonus damage with your weapons, with Berserk, as well as your shield. So super fun build. If you guys enjoy this, let me know down in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to come over to Twitch, where we test all of these builds, it would be awesome to see you in chat one day. Twitch.tv/Walzer with 2 R's. Hope to see you there. Thank you guys for making it to the end of the video. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. See you in the next one. Peace.